What's good, everyone? In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you 10 of the worst habits I see, not only as a player, but also as a coach. Many of you know I coach Apex players over on Fiverr, and I wanted to share with you some of the most common mistakes that I see often so that you can try to fix these if any of them apply to your gameplay. Now, just know I've coached players that range from brand new bronze level players and all the way up to Apex Predators. So I know for a fact at least a couple of these will apply to all of you. Which ones those are will be up for you to decide. So be sure to stay tuned throughout the video. If any of you are new here, just know that my channel centers around helping you all improve at Apex. And so really, without anything further, let's dive right into this one. Number 1, the first bad habit I see players make is they don't look around at their drop spot. Now, I mentioned this in one of my previous videos, but it deserves to be mentioned again. When you drop into a battle royale match, it's critical you learn how to free look around. You have to be free looking to be gaining initial information about your drop spot. You need to be doing this if you're jump master and even if you're not. See, this is a skill in Apex, but no one really ever talks about it. If you drop into a spot and you aren't aware of how many teams are with you, you have instantly given yourself a disadvantage. I try to free look twice when I drop. The first time is right when I drop, and this is to establish a head count. How many teams look like they are coming with me and my teammates, and how many teams are in the general area. The second free look is done when I'm closer to my landing, and this is to gather info on who, if anyone, is landing directly with me. And this helps me know where I can loot for free and where I may run into an enemy or two. This also helps me dictate my loot path. If you haven't been free looking in your matches and you find yourself confused about getting murked off drop, then this could be a huge reason why. The second bad habit I see is people drop too hot and they land with too many teams in a small POI. I see this issue frequently with randoms, and I also see it from time to time in coaching sessions. Now, this could be a symptom to the first bad habit that I just mentioned, or it could be a symptom of you not knowing the map well. Regardless of what it is, I see randoms do this all the time. They split off, which is a good thing, but then they go and land with a full team. What usually follows is them dying instantly and then leaving the match. It's obviously never a good idea to land directly onto more than one player. So if you've been doing this, please just stop for your teammates' sake and for your own sake. And if you're not breaking off and your full team is landing, contesting multiple teams, then you need to understand certain locations on the map are better for this than others. It's not a great idea for a lot of teams to split a small loot pool because you've limited the probabilities for you and your teammates to get decent loot. On top of having to fight multiple teams. With a limited loot pool, you've just lessened your chances of coming out of there alive. I don't want this point to be confused with don't land near teams, because I'm not saying that. I'm just saying don't try to contest too many teams where it's literally a death sentence for you and your teammates. The third habit you want to break is not pinging or communicating with your teammates. Now, this one applies to every player, whether you're solo queuing or playing with a pre-made squad. Lots of players just don't communicate, and they don't relay critical information that is super valuable to their teammates. Pings help, of course, and if you have no mic, I guess it's all you can do. But if you have a mic, you really can't go wrong calling things out. Things that you are seeing, hearing, or even doing. I'm not saying you need to go Imperial Hell on the comms if you're just in a public match with some randoms, but even the slightest bit of helpful information being relayed can make a huge difference. If your teammate knows that somebody's low and you just got knocked, it's helpful for them to go into that fight thinking, yeah, this guy's low, I probably have a chance of winning this. If you want to find more success with randoms or with a pre-made squad, you can't go wrong with communicating more and communicating effectively. One of the best habits you can develop in Apex is by smashing this like button for the YouTube algorithm. This helps my video out tremendously and only takes a second of your time. And just like in some previous videos, I'll throw in another clip of me skateboarding at the end of the video. Check it out if you're interested. Number 4, forgetting to reload your weapons. This is a very common bad habit. Players will shoot some bullets, the enemy will break line of sight, the player will not reload their gun, they will chase, and they eventually end up in the face of that enemy, and they only have half their clip available. That's usually not enough for them to down that opponent, and they end up dying. Another way they don't do this is they start to reload the gun, and then they holster. And the legend never actually finishes the reload animation, so when you pull the gun out, and it's in front of an enemy, you're reloading your gun all over again. So always be reloading, even if you have a second or two in between fighting the enemy. Some players don't understand that if you use the whole clip of any gun, there's always going to be a longer reload animation compared to if you reload before you extend the whole magazine. Really good players are aware of this feature, so they usually try to reload before they use the whole mag, and this saves them time, even if it's only milliseconds. In an Apex fight, seconds can make all of the difference between who wins and who loses, so make sure you're always getting in the habit of reloading. Number 5, players stop healing during downtime in fights. Now this one's very similar to the reload habit I just mentioned, but you guys know those fights that you'll get into where it begins and then it pauses and then it picks back up again. Sometimes this can repeat a few times before the fight finally comes to an end, but a lot of players forget to heal or they don't think they have enough time to, and this will get you killed 99% of the time. If you have a few seconds, use that battery, use that shield cell. If you know you're safe for X amount of time before that fight is gonna come to a head, don't waste it by just standing there doing nothing. Really good players are always assessing their health and shield bar, and they don't ever want to be lower than they need to be while going into a fight. So make sure you're always aware of your own health and shield bar and putting on the necessary heals in those moments of downtime. Number 6, focus more on fighting rather than focusing so much on looting, especially in pubs. Now this is pivotal to improving at Apex. Some players already do this, and some are going to comment under my videos like they had before saying, that's not how you get better. And regardless of what you're going to say, I can tell you with certainty, you're not going to get better if you land edge of the map most games and spend 10 minutes looting. Now hold your horses here, because I'm not telling you to land fragment every game, and especially if you're fairly new. But at least try to focus on contesting one team off drop. This way you get a good feel for things, because most of the time in Apex, you are probably going to have a contested drop. So the more you can familiarize yourself with what it's like contesting a team right off a drop, the better you will get at dropping hot. But don't forget about my first 2 points I made at the beginning of the video. Number 7, now you really want to break this habit, guys, I'm telling you. You got to pay attention to your surroundings and try to use cover during fights. Remember something called the 50-50 rule. You always want to try to have at least 50% of your screen covered by cover. This will help you out in a ton of engagements where you can shoot and then quickly get behind cover. You do this so you can beam your opponent, but also so you can get behind cover to reload and heal. And if your opponent isn't doing the same thing, then you should have a huge advantage over them. Keep in mind though that this rule isn't for every single engagement, because sometimes you just need to get up in that fight and try to finish it. Always be assessing your surroundings so you can get familiar with what sort of cover could be used to your advantage. You also want to do this to help familiarize yourself with specific locations so you can know the general power positions of that location, and this will help you for future engagements too. Map awareness is key. I've talked about it many times before, but if you find a good angle in one spot, you'll know to use that again in the next game. And on the flip side, if an opponent has that angle, you will know, hey, in order to outplay this angle, I need to move here and do this. And this will help you out tremendously. Number 8, the players who use their mic to trash talk their teammates after they've already been knocked. Now this one doesn't really need too long of an explanation, because I'm sure most of you have experienced this from a random teammate before. But with that said, if you're one of those people only using your mic after you've been knocked to not relay valuable info, just go ahead and save your breath. The only thing you should be saying to your teammates after you've been knocked is who you hit and for how much, and potentially where those enemies are if they start to reposition or something like that. Trash talking once you've been knocked makes you look terrible, and it's not a good move. So please, for the love of the Apex player base, please stop doing it. Number 9, look for armor swaps. Really good players are always assessing what armor swaps are around them, and if they need to thirst that knock they just got, or if they have time and resources to pop a battery instead. Because always keeping track of your armor swaps around you, whether it's in death boxes or even a white armor you saw in a bin near you, can help you win the next fight you're about to get into. Armor swapping in the heat of a battle is a true skill gap in Apex and can have amazing results if you pull it off correctly. But it doesn't mean that you need to be ace with the armor swaps, as long as you're keeping in mind, hey, there's a purple in that box if me or my teammate needs it. Or hey, I remember a blue swap on the 2nd floor and I'm on the 4th. If I can get there safely, I might be able to win this fight. Just having some knowledge of location of armor swaps and being aware that you can just armor swap instead of healing will save you time and help you win plenty of fights. Number 10, hindsight. This issue is common in Apex and in life in general, but ultimately we all know hindsight will always be 20/20. So what that means for Apex is you always want to be trying to gather any and all available information. This will help guide your next decision, and you want to go through fights thinking the info is something and act or react accordingly. However, a common bad habit players develop is always favoring the opposite decision that was made because their initial decision didn't work out. And this is terrible, not only for team chemistry, but for your mental too. There will always be a better decision you could have made when you died, or when the fight didn't go as planned, but that isn't the point of how you should operate. See, when things don't go your way, don't crutch the obvious opposite answer that would have saved you. Instead, study truly what went wrong and how you can fix it for the next time. Because I'll tell you something right now, guys. If you're one of those teammates going, oh, we should have done this because blank decision didn't work out, well, then you're missing something, and it's called perspective. And for that reason, I just wish you luck, because that's ultimately what you're going to need going forward. If any of you guys are new here, I hope you'll consider subscribing so you don't miss out on more Apex content. Be sure to join my Discord. The link is in the description below. That's going to be it for me. Here's the clip of me skateboarding. Peace.